CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight, searching for safe housing. 2 seniors are desperate to get out of a Halifax homeless encampment.
On the brink, financial struggles could force the closure of the Cape Breton Miners Museum.
And teamwork, how some people rallied to renovate the basketball courts in Halifax's Uniacke Square.
Wet and windy weather on tap for Saturday with periods of rain, the risk of thunderstorms. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us for an abbreviated version of CBC Nova Scotia News tonight due to the Paralympics coverage. And we begin this evening with another sign of just how dire the housing crisis is in this province.
2 seniors in Halifax are desperately trying to find safe and affordable housing. The 77-year-old and the 80-year-old are currently living in a tent on University Avenue. And despite the help of a street navigator, they have nowhere else to go. Hannah Vino has that story.
This is where we're living.
In this tent lives 77-year-old Judy Howe with her 80-year-old partner George, a situation she never imagined to be in. She says they had an apartment in Halifax before the building was sold and to be torn down. After that, they went to Ontario to be with George's dying mother, but they couldn't afford to stay there and chose to return to Halifax.
It's not home. You know, it's not a place you can cook a meal for yourself. You can take a shower. We go up to the Y on Park Street here. I always get lost trying to find my way out. And that's where we shower at. And you can go there every day if you want, you know. And thank God they have that service. But it's not where I want to be. I go to bed crying at night. At night I go to bed crying and I pray to God, asking Him to get me out of here. I need to be out of here.
With the couple's deteriorating health, a volunteer street navigator is desperate to get them into affordable housing.
Judy is the age that my mom would be if she was still alive. And it breaks my heart to see that people who have been born and raised in Canada and Nova Scotia are now having to face this. They were offered a pallet in the new Seniors Pallet Village on Atlantic Street, but Judy does not feel safe having to be in her own pallet because they're only singles.
The Minister of Community Services says he is aware of this situation and staff are working on finding options.
So if we want these individuals to be successful, we want them to feel safe and dignified, they need to stay together, and they need a place where they feel comfortable.
Stein says that she has reached out to different organizations to help. So far, she's been unsuccessful in finding accommodations for them. Until then, Judy is concerned about her safety at the encampment and the change in weather.
It's hard. It's very, very, very hard and very stressful, very uncomfortable.
Hannah Vino, CBC News, Halifax.
The Houston government will not be creating a unit to crack down on landlords and tenants who break the province's residential tenancy law. An independent review ordered by the Houston government almost 2 years ago recommended the creation of a residential tenancy compliance and enforcement unit. But the minister responsible for the act says it's not needed.
I think Nova Scotians in today's tight rental market are looking for a quick fix. And it would be nice to have an easy overnight solution to the housing crisis. The true solution to the housing crisis is more housing.
LeBlanc says an enforcement unit would only increase red tape and bureaucracy. The minister introduced a bill today that will extend the current 5% rent cap another 2 years. But NDP leader Claudia Chender says the rent cap is not working, and some landlords are using fixed-term leases to impose rent increases much larger than 5%. She rejects LeBlanc's suggestion that new units are the answer.
The new apartments that are coming online are extraordinarily expensive. They are out of reach of anyone who will be impacted by any of the policies announced today. We are going to see more people who are needing services from government. We are going to see more people evicted into homelessness, and we're heading towards the coldest season.
Gender says the changes being proposed by the Houston government favor landlords over tenants. She's particularly concerned about her proposal to shorten the timeline for issuing an eviction notice. Currently, landlords must wait at least 15 days before they can start the process to evict a tenant for non-payment of rent. The bill proposes that will be shortened to just 3 days.
A major murder trial has been thrown into limbo by an announcement this afternoon from the provincial government. The province announced the appointment of 2 new provincial court judges, Ian Hutchison and Jamie Van Wart. Until his appointment, Hutchison was representing Adam Drake, the man accused of killing battle rapper Pat Stay. He was stabbed outside a downtown Halifax bar 2 years ago and died later in hospital. Drake's trial was supposed to begin Monday with jury selection. Now that selection has been delayed at least a week while the judge and lawyers try to figure out how to salvage the trial.
Nova Scotia's fisheries minister says he's disappointed that his federal counterpart still has not responded to a letter last month calling for help to stop illegal lobster fishing in the southwest part of the province. Kent Smith's appeal to Diane Leboutillier came as violence continues in the Clare area, and people report thousands of pounds of lobster being illegally harvested outside the commercial season.
And the fact that she has not even taken the time to respond via letter, email, text. She has my phone number. Like, this is incredibly serious. She was here in the province at the end of August after I sent the letter and still refused to meet with us.
Smith says the province is doing its part by reminding buyers and processors about the rules regarding illegal product. He says inspections are being increased. Provincial Liberal leader Zach Churchill says the province needs to take away the license of any buyer or processor found with illegal lobsters. Nice sunny bright colors in the CBC Weather Center, but not so much outside, huh?
Yeah, sounds like we're in for quite a soaking.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be ramping up throughout the overnight tonight. Saturday morning is really looking like the wettest period across the province, though it will linger a little longer in the east. We'll time it out in a second. First, the rainfall outlook. And most of the province is going to land in that 30 to 50 millimeter range by the looks of things. Now, 30 to 50 millimeters, that's a lot, but locally we could see pockets in the 50 to 75, even 100 millimeters not out of the question, because we're going to be seeing some heavy downpours and the risk for thunderstorms, and that will add up the totals locally. That's also going to bring the risk of some localized flash flooding. So keep your eye on the sky, and if you're driving tomorrow, just be cautious that the roads could turn hazardous pretty quickly in those downpours. You can see along the Atlantic coastline, those pockets of red, that's where the model is highlighting the greatest risk, and it does appear that will be the greatest risk of seeing those locally heavier totals. Timeline-wise, it ramps up overnight tonight. Tomorrow morning, we're waking up to the rain across the mainland. Cape Breton kind of last into the mix for tomorrow. Looks like throughout the morning, you'll turn damp, and those winds are going to be ramping up as well. Note, as we move throughout the afternoon, we'll see those periods of rain kind of lingering and then moving out of the south and west. And that's where I think we will see a bit of a break towards the later parts of the day. Quieter on Sunday. Quick look at those winds. They will be ramping up. Gusts widespread 50 to 70 kilometers per hour for tomorrow, especially into the afternoon. And then some gusts for Cape Breton and Guysborough County that could edge up into the 80 to 90 kilometer per hour range, especially exposed coastal areas. Again, running the risk of some isolated power outages. So just be mindful of that as well. Your full forecast details coming up in a little bit.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
A popular tourist attraction in Cape Breton is in danger of closing. The Cape Breton Miners Museum is struggling financially and has been denied entry into the Nova Scotia Museum family. Kyle Moore explains.
The doors to the Cape Breton Miners Museum are open to visitors today, but the question is for how long?
I'm absolutely worried that we're going to lose the museum.
Roughly 11,000 people came through the museum this year. That is down from previous years. Fewer people means less revenue, and right now the museum is not taking in enough money to pay for all their expenses.
Operating funding that we've been getting from the province has been stagnant for ever, and expenses have not been stagnant.
Mary Pat Mumbercat says they applied to be part of the Nova Scotia Museums, but that request was denied. The province says the museum has to meet specific criteria to be considered a provincial museum, including representing a theme on a provincial rather than a regional scale.
We have been giving them more money through the Community Museum Assistance Program and those capital investments.
McMaster says there are 2 other community museums in the province that focus on mining, and a provincial museum in Stellarton that tells part of the mining story.
The Miners Museum right now has a designation of being a community museum. So they're telling the local stories.
This is an international story. We funded the North American Industrial Revolution and 2 world wars. People came from all around the world to live in Cape Breton, to work in our coal fields. This is a huge story. It goes way beyond our region. So I really don't think that argument holds water.
Sheldon Guthrow has been a mine guide at the museum for 22 years and is a retired coal miner. He's disappointed with the province's response.
One time here, the Nova Scotia government's budget was hinged on how many tons of coal was produced on this island here, because they were getting a royalty off of every ton of coal. And they rode on our backs. And I think it's time for them now to come through and give us back a little bit that we give them.
Guthrow is hoping the community will rally behind them as well and put pressure on the province to reconsider.
They've had no problem turning down our request. They didn't, bat an eye. But I think if the community got involved and they said, hey, this museum's important to me, this museum's important to my community, this museum is important, it has an important story to tell, and let the province know.
McMaster says he will work with the museum's board to try and find a solution. It's not clear how long the museum can afford to stay open. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Glace Bay.
While the water at Peggy's Cove makes for beautiful scenery, getting too close can be dangerous. In the last 20 years, 4 people have drowned near the iconic landmark. That's why Build Nova Scotia hired a safety patrol in 2022 to deal with any visitors standing on the black rocks. In its first year of operations, security did on average 8 interventions per day, but this year that number has risen to 37.
If somebody goes, as you can see, there's black rocks or even dark gray rocks there. So if somebody goes near them or on them, then I have to whistle at them, and the best I can do is just wave at them, and most of the people listen to it and just get back from the rocks.
One of the people he warned today was a tourist visiting from Pennsylvania.
Everything looks very calm out here, so I thought if the water was really rough, I would have been worried about it.
Singh warns that while the ocean may look calm, things can quickly change.
A TikTok famous cruise ship was in the port of Halifax earlier this week. Since last December, many of the passengers on board the Serenade of the Seas trip have been traveling the world and documenting their journey on social media. They're participating in what's being billed as the ultimate world cruise and have already been to all 7 continents, including Antarctica. While the 9-month-long adventure has seen some backlash online, those on board say it's been a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I say that we started out as strangers, we became friends, and now a lot of us are like family, like people that I'll keep in touch with well after this, right? And it's like our own little microcosm. In any world you have the people that are like loud, the people who are quiet, some that you like, some maybe aren't your favorite, but it works, you know what I mean? And I think what I always tease is we're a very supportive ship. Like if anybody's doing a performance or anything, like no matter what, we all clap for each other, like everybody. So it's just a very supportive environment.
My one takeaway from this, and I've traveled just a little outside of the country, but when I was younger, is I realized that everywhere in the world is the same, meaning the people are the same. People are nice, people are good, people are friendly.
But the journey is almost over. The cruise will end on September the 10th in Miami.
It's a big day in Halifax's Uniacke Square, where newly renovated basketball courts officially opened today.
The 3 courts are a focal point for the community, but had fallen into disrepair. As Gareth Hamster tells us, though, they've been revitalized after several groups came together to make it happen.
9-year-old Markai Clayton's feeling great about the colourful new basketball courts in Uniacke Square where he lives.
I love the painting, I love the rims, and I love the color, and I love everything about it.
He plays here almost every day and says before these renovations, the courts were looking neglected.
They were old and the rims were old, and the court had a bunch of grass going over it.
A restoration project called The Square has breathed new life into the courts, the result of a collaboration between the Halifax Regional Municipality, Canada Basketball, and Buckets and Borders, whose mission is to improve communities through basketball, and they do it all across the country.
It's so important to create these inclusive spaces that ultimately become much more than basketball courts. They're places that, celebrate the pride of the community through art, and it's really the intersection of art and sport, and they become places for kids to play basketball, to look up to older people playing the game, but also for just a place to gather.
Because sport right now can get pretty expensive for families, but having facilities like this that are outdoors, people are paying to keep them up. It's amazing how it can change lives for kids.
The $250,000 project includes new backboards and nets, as well as new asphalt covered with murals that celebrate the African Nova Scotian community in Pan-African colors.
What it means is that community can feel ownership and feel that they're valued. When you think of communities like Uniacke Square, when a project like this that's taken a lot of time and a lot of effort is done, it just shows that the community is valued.
The basketball courts here are an integral part of the community, bringing people together at all times of the year.
This is something that's been a part of us our whole entire lives, and it's something it's glued to the community. So just getting this done over, just look at the traffic that's driving by. Everyone's head is out the window staring at this. This is our colors. This is who we are, Square Town. This is all we wanted was a new court, and just the littlest things mean the most to us.
The hope is kids throughout the area will play here, building friendships for years to come. Gareth Hampshire, CBC News, Halifax.
Ryan is back next with the full weather forecast. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
All right, back with your weekend weather forecast, and we are going to get a splash.
Yeah, outdoor plans, maybe not so much, huh?
Yeah, and again, Cape Breton, early Saturday, okay, as that rain will be kind of working in throughout the morning, so early on if you want to get that outdoor run in. Southwestern areas, some breaks into the afternoon, Digby County, Yarmouth, Shelburne, and we'll time that out in just a moment. Have a look first and foremost at our webcam shot, and you can see live video from Lockport Beach right now. And yeah, it's looking pretty ominous there, and the wind you can see picking up as we will be watching those winds to ramp up through tonight and certainly into tomorrow. So we'll be timing that out as well. Temperatures high teens, some low 20s out there right now. Yeah, the winds starting to pick up already. Sustained near 20, Halifax, Beaver Island, sustained to 31. And at last check, we're seeing some gusts to 43 in the Halifax area, gusting to 30 for Cape Breton and down towards the Yarmouth area as well. Rainfall warnings are in effect southwest and then all along the Atlantic coastline. This looks like our greatest risk for exceeding 50 millimeters of rain. We'll be looking at kind of a widespread 30 to 50 millimeters, as we said earlier, with those pockets that will be heavier. But these areas shaded in green look likely to see the greatest risk of those heavier pockets. Lace wet winds will really get cranking up tomorrow later in the day into tomorrow night, where we could see some gusts to 110 kilometers per hour. There's that rainfall outlook. As you can see, kind of a widespread 30 to 50 millimeters. But again, those heavier pockets, and that will run the risk of some localized flash flooding. So do be safe if you're traveling on Saturday if you're out on the go. That rain starting to work its way into Shelburne in the southwest already. That's the first leading edge band of this system, which is going to be working its way in over the next couple of days. Again, not a tropical system, but certainly some tropical characteristics with it, most notably the heavy downpours and tropical downpours we will be seeing beginning overnight tonight in the southwest, where we'll run the risk of some thunderstorms, winds from the east gusting 50, even 60 kilometers per hour along the Atlantic coastline by tomorrow morning. Temperatures into the mid-teens. Now tomorrow, we're going to be seeing those gusts to 70 kilometers per hour for the Cape Breton region throughout the day, and then tomorrow night, even as early as tomorrow evening, some gusts to 90 kilometers per hour, again for Inverness County, and then eventually to 110, as we said, with that lace wet wind warning in effect. High teens, low 20s, those periods of rain as we back our way into central parts of the province. Again, periods of rain, most notably here in the morning, and then some relief into the later stages of the day. Should be pretty quiet around supper time, allowing folks to get out, and it will be quite mild as well, with the winds shifting from east to south into the later parts of the day. We'll be seeing easterly winds for the south and west parts of the province as well. And again, some breaks here into the afternoon as well, as that rain will lift off to the north, and then kind of a cloudier finish to the day with just a chance of a shower. Let's time out the winds. They are going to be, again, howling as we move through the afternoon in particular for eastern parts of the mainland and into Cape Breton. Pretty gusty though everywhere. These are the gusts, 40, 50, 60 kilometers per hour. And note tomorrow into the supper hour, this is when things will really get ramping up for Guysborough County into Cape Breton. We'll be looking at those gusts lingering even into the early morning hours of Sunday. Now, Sunday's going to be a brighter day overall. We're going to be seeing some sunny breaks on the go, just a chance for some showers. But it looks like the greatest risk is going to be here through the west and southwest. So there's Saturday evening. There's that break I mentioned for the Tri-County area into the afternoon and early evening, and then eventually into the Halifax area. Cape Breton last to clear, and then there are those shower chances for Sunday. But it does look like we will see, yes, some sunny breaks in there as well, and pretty nice September stretch for next week. Tom and Amy.
We'll be ready for it.
All right.
Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, we are back to wrap things up. Know you two are dog lovers
Yeah,
for sure.
yep.
Got a cat story for you, though. China's Shanghai Museum is trying out a new promotion, one encouraging visitors to bring the whole family.
Yeah, specifically, it's allowing them to bring their cats. A show on ancient Egypt can be unsettling, especially when a group of cat mummies is among the exhibits.
There is a rationale for bringing cats to this particular show. The Egyptian cat goddess Bastet features prominently, and being the center of worship and veneration is something that any cat, of course, can understand.
That
Love to be the
is
center of
very
attention,
true.
too, don't they? That's it for
Still,
us tonight.
yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back at 6 o'clock for our full hour-long show Monday night. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
Goodbye.
Take care.